theme of this poem says that it is a sonnet, that is a poem of 14 lines. Statue which was there, the legs are broken and they are upright. Again, there is the face also that is visible. Near to that statue which is broken, wherever you see, there is only sand. But there is no legacy to be seen. There is no story that is left behind that can be witnessed. Alliteration, as you know, it is the repetition of same sound in the beginning of the word in a sentence. Hello everyone, I am Dr. Shalini, Professor of English, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Today we are here to understand another poem prescribed by University of Mysuru for 2nd Sem BCom. This is a wonderful poem. Before that, we will see what is there in today's module. We are going to understand about the poet first, then the theme. After that, we'll have the summary and the literary devices. This poem is actually easily readable. The language that is used is very easy. Hence, you don't have any new words to understand over here. So let us begin by understanding about the author first. P.B. Shelley is the author of this sonnet. Fine. He has written this sonnet for a poetry competition. So he was a famous English romantic poet and he was known for his poems which have this theme of romance. Almost all his poems had this poems as the theme, but this poem is slightly different. Best known works are actually Ozymandias, Ode to the West Wind and To a Skylark. So all other poems have this romance as the theme, but Ozymandias talks about the human ethics. It talks about how pride will cause downfall. He earned great fame after his death actually, because all his works were published, like most of them, they came to limelight only after his death. So he earned a lot of fame after he died only. So yes, this was all about P.B. Shelley, that is Percy Bysshe Shelley. So the theme of this poem says that it is a sonnet, that is a poem of 14 lines. Fine, a sonnet you already know, it has 14 lines and it has 3 quatrains and you also have 1 couplet. Okay, so this is 3 into 4, that is 12 lines plus 2, that is 14 lines. So this is a sonnet. There are many types of sonnets that are there. You have Petrarchan sonnet, you have Shakespearean sonnet, all these. So this sonnet also follows that 14-line style only. This poem was written for a poetry contest for one of his friends. So he has written for that and he has got it published later. The name Ozymandias is actually an alternate name for this ancient Egyptian pharaoh Ramses II. So this is the name of the king, but this was just a name. That was an alternate name given to this great king. Ozymandias, like as a way to portray the transience of political power and to praise art's ability to preserve the past. So how do you comprehend this? Ozymandias is a poem, or the poet actually tells about how the art, the sculpture and all talks about the past. It is actually something that preserves the legacy. So that is what here the poet talks about. This poem tells us about the legacy of this Ramses, that is the king. This is a wonderful poem. It is easily understandable and you will enjoy reading this. Okay, so let us go through the poem now. To begin with, we'll start with the first quatrain. I met a traveler from an antique land. Here the poet is talking about, this is in first person narration. He is talking about a traveler and the traveler's narration about one king or maybe one sculpture that is broken and fallen in a desert. He is talking about that. So here you can see, I met a traveler from an antique land who said, 2 vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them on the sand, half sunk a shattered visage lies, whose frown. So this is a sentence that is half complete. So I'll just complete explaining this and let us complete the sentence in the next stanza. So here the poet is talking about traveler who came from an antique land, antique old. Okay, that means he has visited some place of historical importance and he has come here, and the poet meets him, and what the traveler says is what is important. So here the traveler tells that two vast and trunkless legs. That means those legs were very vast. That means it was very big enough. Okay, so and trunkless legs. That means it is only the legs which he saw. There was no body. Okay, that was made of stone. That means it is a sculpture he is talking about. Okay, so he's talking about some sculpture that stood in the desert. Means they are upright, which are standing there. So that is broken and it is sunk inside the sand, and he is giving a picture of a desert and a sculpture that is broken in the desert he is talking about. Near them on the sand, so here also he talks about the sand here. So near them, that means near the legs there, half sunk a shattered visage lies. So there is a face that is broken and fallen down. Okay, so he's talking about the face of the sculpture, that statue which was there. The legs are broken and they are upright. Again, there is the face also that is visible, and that face has a frown on it. So he is talking about the feelings that are recorded on the face. How well the sculptor has shown that he has brought out those feelings on the face of this broken sculpture. He is talking about that. So let us just have a look at the rhyming words here. So land, sand is rhyming, and stone, frown is rhyming here. So you can give the rhyme scheme as A, B, A, B. So this is the rhyme scheme for this stanza. So this continues further stanzas also. So in this stanza, this one, the traveler who is talking about the broken sculpture in the desert. Okay, so in the next stanza, that frown, he will continue that here, and wrinkled lip. So he is talking about the something that is personified, okay, something that is given life. So this has no life, but this is given life by the traveler there. And sneer of cold command. Sneer of cold command means that face shows that commanding mindset of that ruler. Okay, so this statue which is broken is actually of a ruler, that is Ozymandias, and this is broken and it is fallen, and the traveler is talking about it, and on the face of that broken statue all these feelings are visible. And wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. So here he is talking about the pride of the king, why he was so bossy in nature. So that he is talking about over here. So what does he talk about? He talks about the wrinkled lip, the sneer of cold command. Then that tell that its sculptor, so very well the sculpture is very well done, that the sculptor actually has grasped each and every emotion of the ruler over there. So that its sculptor, that is the person who has done this, well those passions read. He has read the passions of that king so very well. So when that person can paint it, or that person can bring out a lifeless thing so lively, that means how well he should have observed that person is what matters. Okay, so the traveler is talking about the sculptor now. He is praising the sculptor now. So very well he has read the passions which yet survive, even though that sculpture is not there, that is broken, that king is not there, even now his frown or his wrinkled lips or the sneer cold command that survives. Okay, even that person is not there, his legacy stays, his legacy continues, stamped on these lifeless things. So now this statue is lifeless, isn't it? So he has put these emotions on these lifeless things. They are so lively, looking on these lifeless things is what the traveler says. The hand that mocked them, there was a hand also that was mocking that statue which is broken, and the heart that fed. So the hand and the heart actually mock that the statue that is broken, and the statue which was like once it was living, isn't it? It belongs to that of a king. Fine. So he was actually alive first at one time, at some point of time, and now it actually mocks. The hand actually mocks that ruler is what the traveler says. Then the third quatrain. and on the pedestal. So you know what is a pedestal, right? If at all there is a statue there, you have a pedestal there. So on this, something was written there. What are the words that appear on the pedestal? My name is Ozymandias. So he's telling about himself. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. So this is what appears on the pedestal here. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains round the decay of that colossal wreck. Boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. So this Ozymandias, who is a king, actually speaking, the background of this poem is like this Ozymandias, that is Ramses, that is the Egyptian pharaoh who was there. He wanted to establish such a legacy that even when he is gone, he wanted people to talk about it. So he wanted such a legacy to be there, and of course he lived such a life only. So here also the traveler who has come, who has visited that place and come here, is talking about that. So he talks about something that is there on the pedestal, which is an irony. Okay, so that king is not there at all. For what did he have so much of pride? He has fallen down, even he has died, he has lost his kingdom, everything. His statue is also broken now. What remains is only the story, how you made people feel. So that story only remains, the legacy only remains. So that is what even Ozymandias wanted to achieve. So what is written on the pedestal? My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. So he was so very successful king. He was a very famous king. He was a very able ruler. The traveler is telling that though he was king of kings, and he also wanted this to be on his pedestal, look on my works. So it is like Ozymandias is challenging the other rulers. Just look at my works. What have I achieved? Okay. Yea, mighty. I am such a mighty king. And despair. See now what has happened. So now the pedestal contains those words that made the king very able, that showed that the king was very able. But now the traveler is talking about this king. So what and all is he talking? He tells about what was there on pedestal. Nothing beside remains round the decay of that colossal wreck. Wreck means to fall down and get spoiled. Okay. So in that place of that colossal wreck, there is nothing left. He wanted a legacy to be left behind. Ozymandias was such a king that he wanted that legacy to be left behind. But what is remaining now? Only the story is what remaining. His legacy is all gone. It is only told from one person to another person, but it does not remain now. Whatever the remnants that are there in that colossal wreck, that means the sand, that is the desert, they speak a lot. But the pedestal contains those words that show that the king was very mighty, that the king was a very good ruler. But now there is nothing left. It is nothing but a kind of irony that is being shown here. Though you were king of kings, there is nothing which you can do now. Boundless and bare, that means it doesn't have any limits at all. Everywhere it is only sand that is being seen, and bare. Okay, so everything is open to everybody now. So there is nothing to be hidden. Everything is open now. Everybody knows about what has happened to this king. The lone and level sands stretch far away. So only the sand to a level, it actually stretches far away. Wherever you see, near to that statue which is broken, wherever you see, there is only sand. But there is no legacy to be seen. There is no story that is left behind that can be witnessed. It is only passed on from one person's mouth to another person's mouth. So here the poet has tried to say that one should not be too proud showing his ability, or he should not be so proud about his whatever he can do, or maybe his power or whatever, holding a power or maybe the strength what he has. One should not at all be proud. Every time when you are proud, God will give you such a blow that you will come back to the ground. That means the poet is telling us to be very humble. We should not be proud about whatever we have. So that is what the message this poet is giving over here. This is a poem by P.B. Shelley that does not have romance as its theme. It has some ethics that can be taken by humans for their life. So now you can see the rhyming words here. So appear, despair rhymes. So in the previous one it is AB, then it is CD, CD, then comes to it is E, F, whereas here it doesn't rhyme here. But let me just tell you, since it is enjambment, we'll not worry too much about the rhyming words. Okay, so this is different. So we cannot mark the rhyme scheme for this. So here you can see sentence ends here. Somewhere it starts in between. Okay, so this is also a type of literary device that is used by the poet. So this was the summary you learned about this Ozymandias. Hope you are clear with the summary. The whole theme is that if at all you want to tell it in one line, it is like, do not be proud of whatever you have. One or the other day you will go back to the earth only. So you please do not boast about yourself. So this is what the poet tells about over here. Let us just have a look at the literary devices that are used in this. So this poem has metaphor, that is comparison. So what does the poet compare over here? He makes a comparison, like simile and metaphor both are similar. Simile uses words like as and like, but metaphor is a comparison. It does not use any words like or as. Okay, so here the poet makes various comparisons wherein he doesn't use words like as or like here. He talks about some king. He compares him to be very mighty. So that strength what he compares, so that comes under metaphor. That is the literary device here. Next we have personification. So here the poet is personifying this Ozymandias. Ozymandias is no more now. Okay, he is dead. He is inanimate, means he doesn't have a life now. That is a statue he is talking about. So that he is personifying. So to what does he personify? Like how does he give a life? He talks about the words that were there on the pedestal. Okay, so it is like the king is speaking by himself. So that is what he talks about. And here actually this more or less looks like he is talking by himself. So it is personification. Then we have imagery. Imagery means something which when you read it, you feel like it comes to life. You get a proper image in your mind. So that is called as imagery. And yes, when you read Ozymandias, when you read that desert thing and all, you feel like you are able to imagine that desert in your mind. That statue which is broken and fallen there, the colossal wreck that has happened. So everything is already there in front of you. You get that image in your mind. So this comes under imagery. Alliteration, as you know, it is the repetition of same sound in the beginning of the word in a sentence. So the same sentence you will have repetition of words in the beginning. So that also can be seen in alliteration. So just go back to the poem and you can mark that. Then we have enjambment also. As I told you, the sentence doesn't end in the first line. It starts here, it ends somewhere here, and the next sentence starts over here. Then it ends somewhere here, and this is like this. So this is called as enjambment. This type of literary device is called as enjambment. Then we have assonance. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds. That is, in a sentence, maybe many times that vowel is repeated. Okay, be it A, E, I, O, any of those vowels, they will be repeated in one sentence only. So that is called as assonance. Then we have irony. Irony, something like the paradoxes are put together in a sentence. You come across this hand mocking that and the heart that is feeding it. Initial lines, it is like the king is telling that he is very mighty. At the same time, in the next line, it is said that he is not at all worthy because even the statue is not permanent there. So that is the irony that the poet uses over here. That is the paradoxical placement of these opposite ideas that are there. At last, we have consonants, the repetition of consonant sounds. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds. Okay, so this is the repetition of consonant sounds. Okay, so that is also there in this poem. Okay, so in a line there are many consonants that are repeated. The difference between alliteration, consonants and assonance is that alliteration is something wherein the first letter of the word is repeated many times. Fine, the sound is repeated in the first letter, but in consonants it can be in the middle also. Assonance or consonants, it can be in the middle also, but alliteration should be in the beginning of the word only. Fine. So these are the literary devices that are there in this poem. So what I want you to do is just read the poem, go back to the poem, keep all these in mind, imagery, personification, whatever, the explanation what I told you, just compare and then you can make a note of it. So any doubt regarding this, I'm always there to help you in the physical classes. So that was all about this poem, Ozymandias, a wonderful poem. So please go through this poem. You will really enjoy reading it. It is such a legacy to read this poem. As I told you, this is one of my favorite poems because I have read it so many times from my childhood. Actually, I read about this even in my PU and I remember reading this during my school days also. So please go through that. You will really enjoy reading it. So yes, we come to an end of this. Thank you for your time. Let us meet again with another poem in our next session. So take care children. Keep learning. See you soon. Bye-bye.